Living in a scary house. Living in a scary house. It's the most scary.
Tonight's Scary is set during one of the most divisive times in American history. Not only did the legendary conflict that was the Civil War separate the country morally and politically, it would also separate many fighting men in uniform from parts of themselves which they would never get back. Written by Reddit user Economy Candidate 299. This is Devil's Work.
Amid the thick smoke and gunfire, Private Gregory aimed his musket rifle at a greyback, the enemy of the Union, and fired. Then he repositioned himself as bullets whizzed about. Just as the young soldier settled, something hit his shin and he fell. The screams, the cries of men and sounds of war continued. It drowned the private's yelps, and it wasn't long before he lost consciousness. By some miracle, Private Gregory woke to find himself on a makeshift bed. And the smells made him gag. The smells of rot, and blood, and horses, and waste greeted him, at last. And he looked around. There were wounded men everywhere, sheltered beneath white tents. Horse-led wagons carried the wounded fresh from the battlefield, and the nurses and surgeons and aides scurried, here and there. After a good look, Gregory guessed his location. A field hospital. Later, the surgeon checked the young soldier's lower left leg, tourniqueted it with rope, probing it with blood-soaked, unwashed fingers. His apron, too, was stained red and brown. Gregory grimaced as the surgeon shook his head, and asked for strong whiskey to a nearby aide. Soon the private felt funny, as 10 strong hands held him down. Then, the devil's work began. The surgeon took out his saw and knife, already rusty red from previous surgeries.
Hold him down,
the surgeon said, his words and expression grim. The devil's work came, and eventually he sawed at the leg. There was no time for slow measured movements. It was war. Instead, the process was rapid, maybe 10 minutes long. As the surgeon worked, Private Gregory jolted on the red table. He cried and was helpless. The speedy cuts detached the wounded muscle and bone from the healthy part, as if the leg was a tree. A bloody tree, that was. Finally, the surgeon removed the severed leg. Like a broken toy, he tossed it onto a heap of unspeakable hell. A heap of blackened, bloated legs and arms, hands, toes, feet. Hearts wounded Union men no longer need, because of fear of infection. Flies flew about like it was a grand banquet for them.
If the lad's fortunate,
the surgeon said, wiping his brow with his dirty hand.
What a miracle it'll be.
The ordeal was done, and another began almost immediately. Private Gregory eventually joined the other wounded soldiers waiting for the train to another hospital. While waiting, one soldier asked him for his name and unit. He also asked him where he came from.
North Carolina,
said Private Gregory.
Not all people there agreed. I'm one of them folks. Don't think of me as a reb. There's not enough, either.
Those words caught Gregory's attention. He saw the drunk soldier's arms strapped down. The surgeon knifed it, sawed it. He finished, and again, like a broken toy, he tossed the now useless arm onto a heap of hell. He wiped his dirty hands on his dirty apron, and continued the devil's work. Thanklessly.
If you enjoyed tonight's scary, and it is your first time here, consider subscribing and click the bell for all notifications. Hit the like button and share this episode everywhere. Tune in next Friday for another episode of The Scary.